Hey entrepreneurs, it's AJ and welcome back to Business as Unusual, practical motivation during uncertain times. Today's topic is part of the theme Business at the Speed of Opportunity, which is also from my Keynote. And it's a story that tries to answer this question: if an opportunity presents itself, how quickly can your organization move to take advantage of it? So here's the story. Part of my activities, as you know, is a speaker and trainer and mentor, and something that I don't quite advertise, but occasionally I'll get asked to work on special projects, and I don't talk about them. They're just very quiet for clients or friends or family, and I use my entrepreneurial skills to achieve outcomes. And the reason why I work on these projects is because of that. I'm able to achieve outcomes. So they're very, no one knows that I do this, right? And I like to keep it that way, which is part of the strength of me doing it. Anyway, one of my projects that landed in my lap a few months ago, well, not a few months, but actually a few weeks ago, was that during this crazy COVID crisis, I had to go buy a house on behalf of someone else, right? I told you, this is what I mean about my batshit crazy entrepreneurial adventures. Like, I do the craziest stuff behind the scenes here. Anyway, so I had to buy this house, and I use all my entrepreneurial skills to negotiate and really get it down to the deal stage. So we were at going to contract, and I needed to review this contract. And unfortunately, I don't have many legal people in my circles, and I needed a conveyancer. And there's only one conveyancer that I know in my circles, and she's on the other side of town, and it just makes things complicated. So I went to my network and I said, hey, I reached out to one of my friends and said, hey, your dad's a lawyer, would he happen to know anyone? And he came back with a recommendation, and it was great. So I followed up with them. I sent them an email on Sunday nights. Monday morning I get a phone call from one of the staff at that firm, and great. I speak to them, they seem competent, they seem really, really keen to help me out, and great. And I needed this thing done urgently because it was at the stage where we had to put in an offer. I needed the contract reviewed because I had to look at it, and there were a few things in there that I just didn't feel comfortable about, and I don't really have an expertise in property law here in Victoria. So I needed someone proper to look at it, right? I'm crazy, not stupid. Anyway, so I engaged this firm to look at it. They said, yep, not a problem, send through the contract, and that was that. And that was Monday. So Tuesday comes around, still haven't heard anything back from the lawyer, and I call them up. And the guy I was speaking to says, yeah, look, I haven't had a chance to look at it. And at that point in time, the real estate agent messaged me and said, hey, you've got a deadline of 3 hours to close this deal, otherwise we're going to go ahead with other offers. And so now there's a time pressure on this. So I tell the lawyer, look, I've only got 3 hours. I could probably get you until the end of the day. Can you look at the contract then? I understand that you're really busy, but could you look at the contract? And he's sort of like, well, and I can tell he's scrolling through it, right? Yeah, well, it's not a standard contract, so I'm going to take a bit of time to read through it. And, well, like, okay, well, could you do it by the end of the day? I just don't know. I really don't know. Okay, how about if I buy you 24 hours? Will that do? Yeah, I got a lot on my plate. Maybe if you talk to a conveyancer. Maybe if I talk to a conveyancer? What the hell am I doing talking to you? Aren't you a conveyancer? No. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer with the firm, and maybe a conveyancer might be better suited for this. That is not what I want to hear. If I'm in the middle of closing a deal or achieving an outcome, there's two options for anyone I'm talking to. One, they're either helping me or they're not. And if they're not willing to help me out, bang, they don't exist, okay? So quickly, I put a bullet in that relationship. And then I was faced with the task of trying to find someone else in like 3 hours to get this done, right? So I reached out to the other person in my network who lives on the other side of town, the conveyancer that I knew there, and no one was answering their phones. It belongs to a small business, so no one was answering their phones. I tried 3 other conveyancers, no one's answering their phones. Now, a while ago, I met someone, another lawyer, and she works for a very prestigious firm here, and I thought, as a long shot, look, maybe I'll just reach out to her, and I'll talk to you more about that relationship, how I met her, in a second, but let me just continue the story. So I reached out to her, I actually SMS'd her because I was in a bit of a rush, like 3 hours. This thing, I have to save this deal within 3 hours. So I reached out to her, and I messaged her, and she said, "Yep, we could probably, yes, we do conveyancing as well," because I went to their website and I didn't really see it. So yes, they do residential conveyancing. And then I said, "Great, listen, I've got a really kind of embarrassing question to ask, and I don't want to ask it of your conveyancer. Could I give you a quick phone call?" And within 2 minutes, she calls me back. All right, and I'll speak to her. And the first thing out of her mouth when she speaks to me is, "Hi AJ, so good to hear from you. How are you going with all this craziness?" She actually cares. Like, wow, she actually cares. Like, wow, everyone has gone batshit crazy over this thing, and to hear someone who genuinely cares, wow. Anyway, so we have a quick chat, and it's great. And then I tell her my problem, which is like, "Listen, I'm doing this deal. They've given me 3 hours. I need to get this contract reviewed. If I can buy 24 hours, do you think someone at the firm could review it for me?" And of course she goes, "Yeah, not a problem. I need to check with the partner, but yeah, we could definitely do something for you." Wow, wow, wow. At this point I'm like, "Okay, great. Let me see if I can buy you some time." Put the phone down, and I contact the real estate agent, and I start talking to them. And unfortunately, the real estate agent decides to change contract conditions on me at the very last minute, and that usually means they're not interested in our offer, and we just couldn't make it happen, and the deal just exploded. So what's interesting is, while I'm on the phone with the real estate agent, I get a text message from my newfound friend. And she says, "Hey, I just spoke to our conveyancing team. They don't even need 24 hours. They're willing to get this done for you now." Wow. That's incredible. Now, granted, they might not have been as busy as what they normally are during this period, but hey, I get the feeling from them that even if they would manage that internally, and me as a client would just, yeah, they would manage my expectations around that, and I get a better feeling. And now contrast that experience with the other law firm that I dealt with, who made me feel like crap for interrupting their precious workload. Poles apart. And I wanted to, so of course, like, this is amazing. So I thanked her for her services, and deal didn't go through. And now I'd like to tell you why this means so much to me. A few months ago, actually end of last year, I got booked to do a gig for a regional lawyer meeting. And whenever people book me to speak at their meetings, if I don't have industry experience that I can bring to the stage during their event, I will go and immerse myself in their industry. I will meet either firms or businesses or associations. I will go really try and understand what their people are thinking, feeling, and behaving by hanging out with them and really understanding their challenges. So I did that. Part of this gig, I'd never worked with lawyers before, so I went and jumped in, and I met with all these lawyers, and went into their firm, and 15 lawyers surrounded a table, and there was me, and we had an interesting experience. It was fascinating for me, but probably for them, they found it frustrating and didn't really. Look, if you're a lawyer and you sit down with non-lawyers, well, it's a bit like a doctor and an engineer comes to the party. So it just wasn't happening. Anyway, so I walked away from that, and it was fascinating for me, but again, probably frustrated them. And one person out of that 15 connected with me on LinkedIn, and we stayed in touch. And through her kindness, she supported my work and I support hers. And that's how we built this relationship. So now, whenever I've got anything legally that I want to do, who do you think I'm going to go to? And that, my friends, is the power of building relationships during times of crisis. When you manage your mindset, you manage your communication, and you really think about being creative and innovative about how you do business, and beautiful things always happen. All right, entrepreneurs, that's me done. Whatever happens in business and in life, I wish you nothing but success. My name's AJ Kulatunga. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.